we have chosen to construct a story in our unit, and this story is taking place in a refugee camp. And in a refugee camp, shortly after something like a big disaster, like a tsunami or an earthquake, it's something that is really attractive for medical students because they have heard about it in the news. Many of these young students are still thinking of some career abroad or working in a setting of developing countries or human relief programs. So we have chosen that setting to organize our cases in. And of course, using that setting is a very attractive way of introducing the concept of water balance, dehydration, diarrhea. We link it with a public health issue. And I think this setting, building a nice setting around your cases, should not only be authentic, but it should also be attractive and in a way that these young students can imagine something about the setting where it's taking place.
Yeah, and it offers room also for a lot of basic concepts. Well, we have a dehydrated child. What do we return in fluid? Do we give water? Do we give salts? What type of salt solution? Why do we do this? When do we do this? Etc. And everything has a reason, and behind this reason is a scala of, say, integrating bodily systems that work together. And yeah, without knowledge how they really, these systems in the body, how they talk to each other, because we have a lot about hormones and the kidney, how the kidney plays a role, etc. How that's everything integrated, and we use our brain, and that's what we ask from the students. This is our main instrument, the brain, that really gives also a flow to all cases. Yeah.
So once we had decided about the setting, the refugee camp, then before really writing in detail our cases, we defined what should be the final goal of this course. So we defined learning outcomes, and these learning outcomes were in fact assessed on two levels. First of all, how deep should we go in the basic science level, and on the other hand, what is relevant for these students who will become doctors. So this was the continuous balance between clinical relevance and basic science, and therefore it's very good to have in your planning group a clinician who is interested in basic science and a basic scientist who is interested in clinics. So this connection is very important. Yeah. And once we had determined our learning goals, only at that point we started really writing the cases, writing the problems, and we used different methodologies for these cases. They were not only stories. Our cases we construct in our course are not just a linear line of different cases. Maybe I can make a drawing. It's not like going from A to Z in one linear line. No, what we construct or try to construct in our unit is like a circle where you start and you make like a kind of a journey with these students, and at the end of the course you come back at the initial point. So really coming back. And in fact, we have been thinking a lot about these circles. These circles should not only move only once in one direction. We in fact consider each case as a circle. And this is our model, we call ourselves in our unit our caterpillar model. Yeah. It's not been published, I believe, but it's, no. And I'll draw on it. In fact, each case is like one circle, and we have 7 cases, so I will make 7 of these things. Mm-hmm. One here. Each case is one wheel, turning the whole time, and together they make one big caterpillar, and this one is really moving the whole unit in a certain direction. And while we are moving and while we are doing this journey, each case is turning around and keeps turning around at a higher speed than in fact the total movement.
Yeah. And they are all dependent on each other, because if one breaks, then the whole block is not going to run. So you really need to all the cases should fit together.
Yeah. And while we are, for example, discussing case number 4, then even this case is still turning around by practicals, by lectures, by other activities which keep this active. And that's in fact the way we organized our...
You need the knowledge from this to get this one going. And in the end, we hope that this caterpillar will drive through even a muddy environment, and that we get where we really want to. and that's very interesting.
So we're really thinking circles all the time.
So, and if we lecture, normally, then we lecture after the students have really studied the case, and also the cases are supported by some practical trainings that they say, oh, I learned this theory, oh, but now I'm doing this, oh, but why am I doing this? So they're just not learning a trick, they know exactly why they do this, and then the lecture is more or less giving for a rehearsal, integration of the knowledge, and then what we try to do also in these lectures, of course, you're a scientist and you want to, okay, you want to take the students, can we go a little bit further sometimes, back and forth, bringing the newest knowledge, but this is, now we have a case for year 1, and of course we have to limit ourselves, but there's always more possibilities to bring in things that are directly from the news, even of today or of tomorrow. There's always something in the newspapers which you can bring into and make it start with a link. And I think as a tutor with such a case, you can really make the case, even old cases, you can make them up to date by feeding into them, and because basic things remain basic. Yeah.